Where did it go wrong for football? In a transfer market where we are seeing players like Yan Diamandi, a 19-year-old, being quoted to move for close to a million, 100 million pounds. We've seen players like Morgan Rogers, who, in my opinion, is not proven enough to move for that kind of astronomical amount of money, 170 million pounds. The same transfer window we've seen player like Tonali move to Tottenham for 100 million pounds, earning 300,000 pounds a week, and also a 21-year-old that has not proven that he can play at the highest level in Mateus Fernandes moved to Tottenham for 85 million pounds. Right? And we are seeing player of Somerville's quality being quoted, to move to Al Hilal for 80 million euros. When did it go wrong for football? When did it get to this level where you're buying a mediocre player for an astronomical amount of money? When did it happen? Right? And I know people are going to, point it back to Neymar's move to Paris Saint-Germain, but I don't think the Neymar's move to Paris Saint-Germain really did it for football. If you're going to if you're going to put it into perspective, right? Neymar moving for that amount of money, I think in pounds it was 198 million pounds. I think for a player of Neymar's caliber and Neymar's quality, he warranted that amount of money, right? And being the fact that the project was meant to be around Neymar, Paris Saint-Germain were getting a player that was proven, a serial winner, a player that had proven that he can carry a team on his own. He carried the Brazilian team in the World Cup, and we could see how important he was for the team when he was injured. And for Barcelona, there were seasons where I felt at Barcelona he was the best player in that team. In fact, he was the best player in the world. So I don't think it was really down to Neymar moving to Paris Saint-Germain. I think it really, for me, I think the move started with Barcelona making that move for Coutinho for that amount of money. Now, don't get me wrong, Coutinho was probably top three, top five best midfielders in the world at the time, but I don't think he did enough to warrant him moving for that kind of money. Mind you, this was a Coutinho that did not win any major trophy for Liverpool. I'm not sure if he was there in the team that won the league in 2020. I cannot really recall, but he did not really do enough to warrant that kind of money to Barcelona. And then came Ousmane Dembele, is still a young player finding his feet at Barcelona, at Borussia Dortmund. Barcelona splashed the cash for him. Crazy deals. Caicedo to Chelsea, a defensive midfielder that I still think, in my opinion, to this day, I still don't rate Caicedo to be a top class midfielder. I don't see him to be a midfielder that can walk into any team in the world. I don't see him to be that kind of player. And now we are seeing players like Rogers move for a crazy amount of money. Like it is crazy. It's insane. But that is the direction football is heading. Right? And if you want your club to be at the highest level, or your club is supposed to be a top club in the world, you have to spend the money. That is how it is. You are getting a mediocre player for an astronomical amount of money. If you cannot do that, then you do what Real Madrid do. Talk to the players, get them to run their contract down, then you get them for free. If not, I think there's no going back for football. It is what it is at the moment. In order for you to get a quality player, you have to slash the cash.